I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and we are about to witness the Season 3 finale of the Ukraine Carcassonne Online Championship 2025. It has 4 divisions, and we will be focusing on the top 2 divisions. First of all, a major league match that will determine the top spot between Random 23 and Pav 1. And an hour later, a matchup between top 2 Ukrainian masters, Maxim Bazilyuk and Kirill Manakov, with a screen name adrear, that will determine the ultimate winner of this season. So first of all, the first match, just so that you understand the tournament situation a little bit, it's kind of 2 matches at the same time. Obviously, we'll be able to follow only one. So Random 23 is at the top of the tournament table at the moment in the Major League, looking to get promoted to the Super League next season. And Trinidadets is also playing right now. And the idea is, if Random 23 wins today against Pav 1, who's sort of in the middle of the pack in the tournament standings, then Random 23 will secure the first spot, regardless of how the other matches go. And if the other match between the Trinidadians goes well for the player that claims to be from Trinidad and actually is from Ukraine, and then if Random 23 loses, then Trinidadians is going to leapfrog Random 23 and qualify for the Super League instead. And as for the tournament situation in the top division, we're going to talk about this an hour later when it is relevant. So Pav 1, currently low rated in the standings, also rating around 400. Random 23 is the higher rated player with 548 ELO points, so I would put them as a 60-65% favorite perhaps. And let's see how this goes. So Pav is playing the yellow meeples, and now they're looking really good on the scoreboard. They already have 10 points, but Random 23 has meeples in a couple of random places. This 1-point city, this larger city, but one which is harder to complete, a solid 5-point monastery that has just been equalized by Pav's monastery as well. So roughly equal position. Definitely, I would prefer to have Pav's scoreboard and Random's meeples on the board, but after the equalization of the monastery, slight advantage for Mr. Pav here, who now is getting his monastery pressured a little bit. The square is now slightly restricted as Random 23 is building his city at the top. Also, you know what? We'll be using a new plugin composed by, no, not without this, that has been programmed by another Ukrainian player with the screen name Spitkey. But I'm still learning how to work it properly. But one thing that you may notice is that this outline over here, it's very, very fat and thick, so that we can keep track of who was the last person to place a tile. So that's one thing that this plugin does. Anyway, so Random 23 continues his monastery, also creates a road which is being built around that monastery. In the meantime, hi H Hexic, let's see, saying, are tournaments played with both international fields and 4-point city rule? Yes. So the 2-point city rule was a thing many years ago. I don't remember a tournament that was played with that rule in later than 2010 even. So yeah, so it's just international fields and 4-point cities these days. Hi, Kirillo. Yeah, about the timer, I'm going to talk a bit later. So this is just played with a standard board game arena timer where each player has a 3-minute time bank. And then after every move, your time bank gets replenished by 45 seconds. but it cannot go higher than the original 3 minutes, or 3 minutes and 15 seconds, something like this. So Essentially, it is 45 seconds per move, plus in key movements you get to think up to 3 minutes on a certain decision. So this is really not something that Carcassonne tournament organizers have thought about. It just happens to be how the Board Game Arena website works. It's just similar to set up games that way. However, there's also a 15-minute tournament option, and some tournaments are like the World Team Carcassonne. Okay. Pav is thinking where to place this horse tile. And he chooses to try and obstruct a little bit Random's monastery, as there were no place to meeple a 2-point road. Yeah, that's actually quite a productive move, but look at this. The player with the black meeples is kind of going all in on that big city, self-invading. Always one of the most spectacular moves you could possibly imagine. Trying to build the city with Trav, smells danger. He tries to invade with one meeple, which is not going to be sufficient, and he's looking to invade with another one. Well, he can do it right now. So going here would be a grave mistake. You cannot complete this invasion until you re-invade from another side. But doing this without a meeple actually also could make some sense, because the quadruple city has gone out. So the plan of the player with the yellow meeples is to actually go here with a city cap or any city tile and try to block the square, or limit it to a quadruple city tile which no longer exists. Nothing much that black can really do about it. Whoa, look at this. Yellow, with some aggressive scoring, chooses to not finish their city and even leave a city cap next to his city, but all that is done to build a lovely 8-point road which goes through the monastery. Yeah, this is very interesting. Black now defends this square a little bit, leaving 2 tiles that fit there. Now there's only one, of course, as one of them has just been drawn by Pav, and if Pav successfully draws the horse tile, then their position is going to be really, really good, because there's going to be nothing that fits here. Why did I stop talking? Anyway, I just started thinking about some random things. Well, not much really has happened, as Pav chooses not to meeple Monastery, although that's a decision I question a little bit, as always. In this case, somewhat justified. He's short on meeples a little bit. Maybe he could have just gone over here and protected this city at the bottom, also putting pressure on this black city as well. Because my concern is that if black gets himself some sort of a road tile, black can go over here and really start putting pressure against 2 of yellow's meeples. We're running a bit short on daggers, only 2 of right-handed daggers remaining that would fit into that square. So maybe I would have liked to see a monastery over here, just allowing more tiles that fit here. Extenders, vertical splitter, vertical extender. I said extender. Yeah, the vanilla city cap, so that would be what? 3, 4, 5 different tiles that fit into that square. Also very interesting move from Pav. Kind of going for an insurance road. Random's going to drop the first farmer with a lot of potential. Also note that it is the penultimate dagger. So this square is now really, really dangerous. And one move which Pav needs to find is very difficult to find for a player at that level. He really needs to think about protecting this square with any road tile. Okay, we should be back after a little bit of disruption, and now it's time to catch up with the position. So we see that Pav did not find a way to defend his monastery, and he is getting himself 2 meeples blocked. There's nothing now that fits into the square overall. This black farmer has become an agricultural corporation, if we are to use this metaphor for size. And yeah, very difficult position for yellow, really, so I'm not even sure what yellow can do. Well, this is certainly part of it. Finishing a 9-point monastery, also scoring 4 points for a city will help, even though it is on his opponent's field. And maybe now Pav can use his newly recovered meeple to try and perhaps invade the field. He will need to invade the field at some point. Maybe here, dropping a farmer, invading through a curve. That's one way to do things. But it's not going to happen as he draws a curve first. But you know what? It actually wasn't crazy to use this curve here and then wait for another curve to complete the farming invasion, because this field that black currently owns is worth 18 points for 6 completed cities, but it is so big that it might seem that there are many points where you could invade it, but there really aren't. So the only reasonable farming move that I see is going somewhere here. But if you go over here, well, obviously this square is not usable because it's already blocked. And then if you invade from the left, then suddenly this square can be a bit obstructed, right? And then maybe black can go here and here and here and block that square completely and keep the yellow farmer stranded at 3 points. So maybe a move that you could play here as yellow is to do something Sergei Zaharenko style. Maybe going here and not dropping a farmer yet, but setting up an unblockable farmer invasion like this. Well, let's see if players know this sort of stuff at 400 level. I mean, normally you're not supposed to. But even Ukrainian non-experts are, of course, very strong. Yeah, so far I think yellow has played this really well. Just one imprecision, which wasn't a mistake per se. It was just, I think, being a bit too nonchalant about his blocked city next to his monastery. And wow, he finds this. It's a really difficult move to find. That's some exceptional board awareness right there. And he goes and invades straight away. But I'm not sure if that's even going to help him, because black now gets his horse tile. And black now is ahead 2 versus 1 on the city on the left. But Pav still has a couple of meeples. And he can use them. Well, he has to use them actually, and possibly right now, to try and equalize that city. But the problem is, yeah, he goes for this. Wow, this is also another actually really nice move. So he chooses to invade like this through this square, whilst there's only 1 tile remaining that fits there. And this is because if he were to invade on the left, his invasion spot could be easily blockable. The reason is all 5 Dorito tiles with the road have gone out, and so have all 3 horses. So the city tiles which have city, road, and something, those type of tiles are no longer existent in the deck. So this move, only a 50% chance of success, but that's still better than just going here on the left for the standard invasion. One thing that Pav maybe should have considered is trying to win without invading that ruin, because one thing that he could have done is just blocking the ruin and try to invade the main field with more farmers. Speaking of the field, the player with the black meeples has dropped one over here and is planning to respond to this here farmer. And this is why, as Pav, he needs to decide whether he wants to even invade here. He might actually want to do something like this first and obstruct that square, and only later then invade here. Or maybe even He might drop another farmer like this and invade through a road monastery. Yeah, tough position here for yellow. Actually, the more I think about this, the more I think that maybe keeping a meeple for the field was all the rage rather than invading the ruin. And it looks like random 23 will be taking down the first one because this... Huh? I don't get that move. I don't get that move at all. So instead of just invading the field, for some reason, Mr. Random here delays it by a move or so. I'm not sure what his rationale was. Could have been a misclick. I don't think it was. He must know something that I don't, and Pav places one of his last meeples on the monastery for 8 points, looking for any road tile that would recover the meeple. He does not get said road tile. So that's why maybe on the previous move, now hindsight of course is 2020, but he could have gone over here, pre-building the monastery spot so that he could have taken the 9 points straight away without having to spend some moves meeple-less, because look at this, he now doesn't have a meeple and he's going to lose these 4 points of value. That is rather sad. So what does Pav even do here? Is there a way to win the game? I think there is. So first of all, getting a meeple back definitely helps. And then winning the coin flip would have definitely helped, but it doesn't work. Yeah, this is kind of rough. This is very rough. This is also a very strong move by Mr. Random here, making it much harder to invade the field with a second meeple on the left. Now that black has won the coin flip, so this guy stays here 2 points. This guy, the two black guys against this yellow guy, they score like 15 or something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. That still is a big difference. So Mr. Pav has now a chance to score and he gets the 4 points, which makes, well, it's really his only natural move. But 3 points in response by Mr. Random is what we're going to see. Sergey saying, I remember the move that I played. Was that a W2 COC or CCL match? It was actually neither. It was from last year's Super League. Although this is really not the only move that's... there are several moves like this that you've played, but one of them that stands out, the one that I referred to yesterday, with the field preparation and then the farmer. That was in the Super League last year. Kirilo is suggesting that Sergey's tile is overthinking. Yeah, maybe. It did work, at least in the short term, for Pav here, as his invasion was successful. It's just that Random has all these extra meeples to reinvade. This also shows you how important meeple management is. So the reason why Random is so far ahead in this position, even though the scoreboard doesn't tell you that, but he's really far ahead, is because Yellow got his 2 meeples trapped here for just 8 points total, 1 here and 7 here, and then Yellow was in a meeple shortage for the rest of the game. So I won't be even surprised if Yellow goes here just for the sake of getting a meeple back. Should he though? I don't know. I think that Yellow can simply now invade the farm, because if he equalizes the farm, I think he can still win. Yeah. So let's see, so this city is 12, and this city is 2, so plus 10 points extra here for black. Monastery is almost equal. Well, so this 8-point monastery is greater than this 5-point road, so this is 3 points for black. So black has 13. So if the field is equalized, this will actually put Pav 3 points ahead. But then there's another problem because random still has a meeple, which they can use to score, I don't know, 4 points over here for this road, or maybe some more points for long road for 7. Let's actually use the Ukrainian plugin and have a look at what the tiles remaining are. So the majority of remaining tiles are in fact road tiles, which makes invasions rather easy. Oh, so from here, I see that we can make 2 possibilities. So we can just go here and invade at the bottom and try to draw a crossroads before our opponent does. So that would be a way to drop a farmer like this. Then another idea is that we delay the invasion and we go here simply to score. Yep, he goes for it. And he does drop the farmer, which I think, yeah, it makes, well, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I agree. And then he's going to try to invade a little bit later. That actually could work really, really well. But now Mr. Random drops a 6-point farmer at the top. And Pav now cannot win, sadly, I think. Because if I remember the 2 remaining tiles correctly, they were 2 curved. Let's look at this again. Yeah, so 2 curves are the remaining tiles. And what he could do, he could drop a farmer here, trying to invade the farm like this at the bottom. But if he so chooses, then black can simply draw the other curve and do this. Oh, that's genius! Oh man, I'm kind of embarrassed I didn't see that option. Invasion through the outside of a curve and one which is completely unblockable. That is beautiful. Yeah, some really, really high-level tactical finds here from Pav. This may have not been the only... No, I think this was his only option, actually. And it's completely unblockable because if random goes here, it actually does not obstruct the square at all. So what Mr. Random needs to do is just take this 4-point road, and with that, he's, I think, still going to win this game. But it's very, very nice find here from Yellow. Swooping in to equalize those juicy 18 points. Yeah, so Yellow really did what they could with that meeple minority. Maybe you could have argued that going 50-50 for this ruin was not necessary, but other than that, really strong performance. Hi, Maxim. Perfect. I already see trash talk in the chat for the next match, which is going to happen in half an hour. This is exactly what we want to see. Oh, gotcha. Overthinking that was this move over here by Random, yeah. Kind of delaying the field invasion for some reason. Also wanted to point out this move, the reason why it's also kind of very nice, in addition to allowing the field invasion, it shuts down the road scoring opportunity for Random. Because now that this road is shut, then black cannot meeple it for 6 points, and instead black needs to just be okay with a 4-point road on the right. And look at this. We're actually going to have a rather small difference. The only difference in this game is between the farmers on the right. So 6 points for black and 3 points for yellow, and black will prevail, but not without difficulties. So if only yellow were to win the coin flip for the cow tile, for the city invasion, or even for the horse tile in the first place, then we might have seen a very different outcome. So very strong start for both of the players. Well, let's see if Pav can hang in a little bit more, or if Random 23 is going to be crowned champion of the 2nd division. Okay, there we go. Now our plugin is working even better. I'm not sure why it sometimes works and why it doesn't. So you can see the points not only which are on the scoreboard, but also the total points. So you see the 7 or the 8 in parentheses, it kind of adds the 3 points for this road, plus the 5 points for this city, which are already on the board, making our arithmetic a little bit easier. Hi, Elena. So Pav is starting a new road, interestingly looking for a loop. Yeah, it was a very awkward tile to place. And now a fantastic monastery meeple. Now very good position for black. Not anymore, as Random 23, who is now playing the yellow meeples, is using a monastery in response. Black now, of course, tries to equalize the road of yellow, whilst also putting additional pressure on red city. Red, in the meantime, is building up his monastery in a way which slightly obstructs his city, but that's not really a big deal. Black takes advantage of the Dorito piece that was left by him there earlier to start a rhombus-shaped city, whilst the player with the yellow meeples frees up his 4-pointer at the top and is looking to finish this here monastery. And a second monastery has been started by yellow. And by the way, precisely because of stuff like this, earlier as yellow, instead of placing this curve over here, I would have placed this curve like this, so that I could finish a monastery with another monastery. So this is slightly inefficient building by yellow, actually, but still, a monastery is going to score him a lot of points. We can see that he's currently now ahead on the scoreboard, but a nice move from black here, looking to put some pressure on this city. And now a big question for Random 23. It looks like you want to just snap this dagger over here where it belongs, but not so fast. I don't think it actually is the best move, because you gotta cover up this square first at the top. Because if you go here right now as yellow, you are bringing yourself very close to completing your city, but you're also helping your opponent's monastery, whilst not guaranteeing that you're going to be able to complete the city yourself, because you're exposing the vulnerability in your own square at the top. So let's say you go here, black finishes his monastery, and then black takes a crossroads and does something like this and blocks 2 of your meeple, and that's why the player with the yellow meeples is not going to even bother. Hi, Lidio. Hi, Nazar. Hi, Pichan. Hi, PlateMac. Wait. Yeah, there we go. We need to zoom out a little bit, as the players are choosing to build a vertical map, one which is harder to follow. So the player with the yellow meeples is being a little bit impatient, as they were trying to set up an attacking platform against this here city. But I think they should have gone over here, just gotten themselves a meeple back, and waited for a better tile to attack this. Because in reality, if you do stuff like this, then it's actually rather easy to defend, and Pav managed to do exactly that. I'm just a bit surprised why they did not meeple the city cap. They definitely should have meepled the city cap. Not only for the sake of getting themselves more points, but also for the sake of preserving the safety of their road. Well, anyway, yellow now with an interesting decision, and a third monastery, and several good places to use it. Either over here for 4 points for stacking, and that probably would be my favorite option, you know, controlling a road end, being able to build up multiple squares efficiently. Another one over here for 6 points, which would be the most efficient way to build, but we would have the sensitive square, and with something like a Dorito tile we could get hurt. But instead, he goes for a move which is blockable. He goes for a placement which is blockable in one move, and this cannot possibly be correct. I think a bit of a hallucination by Random 23 here, but yeah, look, not only with the city tile, Pav can go here and block this meeple. But even with a curve, he can just limit the square toward the road monastery because there are no road monasteries remaining. In the meantime, Pav is trying to block left and right. He now successfully blocks his monastery, which was really a completely unnecessary concession by Mr. Random here. But yellow can now go here, if he so chooses, and defend this square and still have a chance to complete the city. Instead, he wants to keep Pav with 0 points on the scoreboard a little bit longer. And just tries to delay the recovery of his road meeple, knowing there are only 2 tiles remaining that fit there. But even though Pav 4 points overall, his position is actually not that bad. He is going to score a lot when he draws 1 of the 4 remaining cow tiles. That's going to come with a farmer. He can develop his monastery, put some pressure on the city. You can also get the crossroads, build this loop over here. So really, Black's position is not at all that bad. And Black now does manage to complete the city. I'm surprised that he does not drop the farmer. It looked like a very good option for the farmer. But Random now is dangerously close to completing this city here. Pav still chooses not to drop a farmer just yet. I wonder why. Random keeps adding himself monastery points. And is it time to drop a farmer now? I think it is. This spot is maybe decent. Or just starting a new city is also fine. So a bit of a small ball approach. But if I am Black, I really want to find something that can compensate my opponent's scoreboard lead. And my opponent's scoreboard lead can only be compensated by my long-term meeple advantage. And if I have a long-term meeple advantage, I want to build all the cities in one field so that there's a big field so that I can use my meeples to bully my opponent. In the meantime, yellow now covers up the city at the top, leaving still 2 tiles that fit there. One of them is drawn by Pav immediately, who now is catching up on the scoreboard a little bit and soon will be looking to finally deploy a farmer. Maybe not yet, as he wants to get meeples back first, I presume. But it's not the worst idea to just go here with the city cap and drop a 12-pointer, because if you don't get a farmer soon, Random can just go here and drop a second farmer, making it much harder for us to fight for it. Oh, by the way, yeah, Random does indeed drop a farmer. A really strong move here. Very difficult to do something about it. Yeah, and that's why I think really Pav, who had no meeple trouble, just delayed this farmer for 2 more times. If you're Black, if I'm Black, I'm dropping the farmer even here when I'm completing the city. But there were multiple options. Here, for example, after this move, it also was possible to drop a farmer. Because everybody knows really at this level that once there are 3 cities on the field, then you already have to drop a farmer, even if you have only 2 meeples. It's a bit tricky when there are only 2 cities, but in that particular instance, you had to recognize the potential of the field because of all the green squares and because of yellow's at the time open city cap. And case in point, now yellow has a boatload of points on the field, which he had no business controlling in the first place. And Pav might end up equalizing the field. He might even end up winning it, but it will be so difficult and so awkward. It's going to take such a long time that Random should probably still win this game. In the meantime, yellow scoring some quick points, and Black drew the last tile that fits over here. Now look, he's just going for the small ball approach, but you're not going to win this game by just scoring 4 points here and there. I guess this is the best that he can do. But you know what? Now, if we want to be really really ambitious. We don't go here. Instead, we do something like this. We place a meeple here and we go for a 6-point city instead, waiting for one of the 3 remaining Doritos, and then we hope to finish the city with a city cap. We have to be really, really efficient with our tiles, and then after we complete our city, we drop a farmer, or even better, if we go here, which I really hope black does, then maybe yellow can go here at the top, setting up a blocking platform. And this would allow us to go over here with a curve or a simple dummy tile and place our last meeple on the farm and then connect to the farm through completing that city. Well, hopefully you can imagine this, but yeah, but you see, black just finishes a normal city. Which is fine if the score were equal, but the score is really, really not equal. And it looks like yellow is doing very, very well here. Also, did I already comment that black drew the last dagger that fits in the center, so yellow will not be completing his city? Yellow also very, very smart move, just closing down the field, eliminating a field connection platform. Black with dwindling options needs to find a couple of farming platforms, 3 of them preferably. What do we even do? Yeah, then he sort of sets up this city, which is kind of nice, but maybe a little bit slow. Yellow is just getting monastery points. Well, now a straight line for Pav is used to build up the monastery and maybe set up one more monastery spot, perhaps. Still not quite gonna be enough. Really, really need to find some spots to drop farmers. Mr. Random here, with not a lot of options, maybe restricting the field a little bit would be possible. For example, going over here on the left, not allowing your opponent to drop a farmer with a curve. Maybe going over here, breaking the city a little bit, because you know from yellow's perspective what could happen. Our opponents could go here, start a new city, and then finish at 10-pointer with a couple of meeples. But this move by yellow, I think, is even better than all the options I described. Just shutting down the invasions on the right, really, really messing up that field geometry. Another Dorito for yellow, and look at this again, very strong move. So yellow knows exactly what he's doing. He just wants to cover up the invasions. And very interesting situation here that the player with the black meeples has all the meeples in the world to attack the field, but really running out of space to do that. Well, now finally Pav gets a monastery and gets to build up very efficiently. He also unifies the 2 farmers off yellow, but it now makes the fields even harder to attack, so he might not opt to attack the field at all. And actually, maybe this is somewhat doable. So how else could we win as black? Maybe we leave the field alone and we try to draw this here tile, which our opponent draws, so it's not going to work. But the idea is, if we were to draw that tile, we could have gone over here, taken all those juicy 5 road points that our opponent just took, and then maybe Meeple the Ruin, found a 6-point field here, a 5-point road here, and just eked out a win with a couple of points. So a fieldless win technically is still possible, even after that move. But now that Pav has 4 meeples, he really needs to find an opportunity to score with those meeples, and this is an excellent option. So this is a move which sets up not only a 4-point road, but also a 6-point field upon completion. In the meantime, Random is sacrificing 2 points for the sake of getting both sides a meeple back, because he knows that black cannot easily benefit from meeples, or at least he cannot benefit from an extra meeple as easily as yellow has, simply because there's so few moves remaining. And from black's perspective, we need to just start spending a meeple on every move. Our two options are, first of all, going here, claiming a ruin. That's our high scoring option for 6 points. But option 2 is something even more devious and something that I quite like. Going over here for just 4 points, but trying to set up a Dorito plus a city cap and actually complete the city for 12 points. So let's see if black finds that idea. And I just want to confirm with the tile counter that that idea is still possible. Oh yeah, look at this. So there's a Dorito. And there is, in fact, a city cap. And there are not many straight lines to block this. So, but it's a pattern which is not difficult to find. Like, you look at this junk, and you don't really think about this as a completable city material. But here, it really works. Actually, it works surprisingly often. And even if our opponent gets a straight line and blocks us, it's going to cost them a point and probably a meeple, because they're not going to be able to complete the monastery at the top. It's going to give us more time to drop a farmer here. Yeah, I really like that option. Or, you know, going here is just fine, and then we can try and get a Dorito and a city cap later. The issue is that if we... Actually, no, I think that's fine. Yeah, so goes for the more conventional move. That makes a lot of sense. And then a great move here from yellow, giving black a meeple back, but cutting down black's road in half, and also denying black the chance to drop a 6-point farmer. Now a straight line for Pav, and we are getting this classic situation where one side has loads of meeples, but there's just no way to score. And I think black now made a grave mistake. Black has to drop a meeple on every single turn. Oh, so then black is not making a mistake. I stand corrected. This is actually very smart. Black is trying to build up the monastery efficiently. I mean, I would have just gone here, and now black has to find a move. He has to. He has to go over here and try to build the city, or even better, because his position is so dire, I truly believe that the best move in this position is going here and dropping a 0-point farmer at the top. And it sets up all kinds of win conditions. Well, first of all, we're threatening a 10-point city with just one move, with the one Dorito tile that fits here. Second, we are threatening a 6-point field with just one road once that city is completed. And third, there actually may be some back-to-back chances of our entering into the main field, because there's still one vanilla city cap remaining. But it's an incredibly difficult find. Oh, Maxim is saying we don't see the tile from the plugin. Ah, that is a bit of a problem. So I guess I'm going to have to use my words then. So, by the way, I don't see the tiles of a plugin either. And by the way, Pav, great move. He finds it. My only issue is that the same move would have been more precise with the farmer over here. That way, Pav would have had 3 more points comparison to what he has in the game. Random finishes the monastery. Pav is going to get a 6-point field here. That's the best that he can do. He's still going to lose this game, but it was a very nice find of that city regardless. As I said, a bit more precise with the farmer here rather than a city meeple, but still lovely vision here from Pav. Yeah, you know what? Maybe just a little bit precision would have made this game close. He does go for a 6-point farmer, which is, of course, is his best move. But imagine if black would have placed this road over here. Black would have had 3 points. On the previous move, if black were to go here, black would have had 6 more points. And now he would be at -8 with 1 meeple to spare. So it does not look like it would have been enough. But it's going to be close. It's going to be really, really close. So another 4-pointer for Pav. Actually, no, a 5-pointer going here. Taking the road. Taking the extra point for the city. And that's going to make things fairly close. Just want to double check with y'all. So now I've opened the remaining tiles, which are a starting tile, which Pav has in hand, and the vanilla city cap, which random 23 has in hand. Also actually very smart here by Pav, knowing that his opponent... Wait, does this work? No, it doesn't work, actually, because... random has a 4-pointer over here anyway. Anyway, making it pretty close. Some nice spatial vision from Pav, really, but an overall very, very difficult to save position. And I think it really all comes down to one strategic error that Pav has made, amongst, of course, many of his tactical merits later in the game, and that was just being a little bit too late on the field. Because this field ended up being the highest scoring feature in the entire game. It has 18 points, and these 18 points could have been Pav's pretty easily. He had such a massive meeple advantage, but just because of the awareness of the field geometry, the way yellow built all these barricades made it impossible for Pav to come back. Good game is saying random 23. Likewise is saying, wait, no. Oh yeah. Players are thanking each other for the game and congratulating the champion of the Major League, because now that random 23 has won this game, there is absolutely nothing that any of his opponents can do in the tournament table to catch up. So he will be winning the season of the Major League and qualifying with problems to the elitist of the elitist divisions for next year, which is the Super League amongst all the Ukrainian masters, of which there should be 12, or maybe 13. Did anybody else become a master recently? I wouldn't be surprised. So yeah, quite an early ending to the match. I think I may have not mentioned today that it was a best of 3. Turned into best of 2. Let me just actually reflect that on the board. But the good news that this match ended early is that we have a few minutes before the next match to do some tournament math and speculation. So let's go here. First of all, confirming that random 23 is now going to be on 8 victories in 11 matches with 17 games won and 7 lost, so that's plus 10. And this means that even if the second player, Tor UA or Trinidadits or any of these other players at 7 points, we see there's actually a lot of those, even if they catch up, then the best that they can do is 17 games won and 8 games lost for only a +9 tiebreaker. And so that's why it was important that random 23 not only won, but also won with the largest possible advantage. And this brings us to the Elite Division or the Super League. There, the situation is not that clear. We have 2 players with 8 victories in 10 matches. One of them is Bazilyuk, who is playing today against Kirilo Manikov, who is now in the middle of the pack. And also, similar situation, so Bazilyuk has a tiebreaker advantage, and a hefty tiebreaker advantage in comparison to Pavel Breen, who is in second spot. At the same time as we speak, or as we are going to speak in 7 minutes, Pavel is going to be playing against Lawyer. But Pavel needs not only to win against Lawyer with any score, but he also needs to hope that Bazilyuk loses against adrear. Because if Bazilyuk wins against adrear, he's going to have 9 victories and such a good tiebreaker that would be completely unattainable for Pavel, even in the event of a victory. It also needs to be noted that Bazilyuk and Pavel Breen are not threatened by anybody else, and there's also not any way for them to drop out of the top 2. The third place has also pretty much been decided, although not really, actually. Okay, let me think about this. Yeah. So look at this. Tanya Yu is now the player in sole third place with 7 victories in 11 matches. So she has played 1 more match than most players. She had played 1 more match than Lawyer, for example. So if Lawyer wins today against Pavel Breen, thus denying Pavel the championship, then Lawyer will be advancing his own interest because probably, yeah, and definitely actually, he is going to overtake Tanya. Because look at this. Tanya's tiebreaker is +3 with 15 games won and 12 games lost. Lawyer's tiebreaker is already +4, and if he wins 1 more match, then his tiebreaker will even improve. It's going to be either +5 or +6. So Lawyer, in order to take third, is going to need a victory over Pavel Breen with any score. I think I got it. Yeah, I think actually for once in my life, I got the tournament math right. So there's really not much left to do other than waiting for the start of the match. I might do a little break, but maybe I want to look at the player's personal stats. Adrear currently with a master rating of 704, 77% win rates, which of course includes casual games as well as tournament games, and nearly a 10,000 game of experience. Adrear also happens to be an important theorist. You may have heard, many of you have heard me mention the Ukrainian technique on the channel, which is a way to combat your opponent's developing monasteries. It was kind of coined and popularized by this particular player. Kirilo also happens to be the Ukraine record holder for the highest ELO ever, which I don't remember exactly how much it was. I think it was something like 816, but it's somewhere around the 810-ish range. So Bazilyuk was a participant at the World Championship. You can also see his achievement together with the country team in the European Championships in 2021 and 2023, kind of coming close to a victory, but not quite. At the moment rated 635, but his peak rating is in the upper 700s. I've seen him in mid 700s quite a lot. He has 1% better win rates than adrear. Actually, 78% is really, really high. I think back in the day when he used to play more arena games, then his win rate was even over 80. But the win rate, of course, reflects not only the quality of your play, but the quality of your opponents as well, and includes casual games as well as tournament games, with 7,500 games of experience. Of course, he's not that far behind from his competitor today. And he will also be more motivated because adrear is able to improve his tournament standing, but he's not fighting for relegation or for promotion. So I would estimate that bazilyuk is like a 55% favorite just because of that fact. So that exhausts my analysis, and we are going to spend the next 2 minutes in silence as I'm gonna replenish my stock of hot beverages before we continue. Okay, now it is exactly 1900 UTC. The game table has been created. Bazilyuk has accepted adrear's invitation. And we're about to start any second now. And we start. Actually, you know what? I'm going to just change the meeple colors. Nope, nope. Yeah, there we go. So adrear is going to be playing with blue, which actually I think he does normally. And bazilyuk is going to be playing with yellow, which he may or may not. So already non-standard moves. Adrear, of course, starts with a curve pointing up, which has been shown to be the best move, and bazilyuk responds with a curve facing upwards instead of downwards, whereas downwards is deemed to be the standard response. Blue immediately uses to try and build a longer road, and this already pays off as bazilyuk was not able to pick off this empty city cap. He started a new one, and the empty city cap and the 4 points, the first points on the scoreboard, were picked up by Kirilo. Adrear continues his road. Bazilyuk immediately swoops in to equalize. And now a very awkward tile to place for blue. So what could we do? I think just the normal move, going over here, picking off the city cap, seems to look best for me. Instead, I think we see our first real imprecision of the game. There isn't a reason to be wasting city caps. And I can understand the idea of wanting to close the road on one side, so he's maybe looking to pull a crossroads and try and separate. He's maybe looking to put some pressure on this square. So there is value in this, but at the start of the game, even though Kirillov's plan is gonna work, at the start of the game, you really, really want to prioritize picking off empty city caps. It's like one of the most important things that there is to do in the opening. Another thing is to manage monastery spot, either creating them for yourself or removing them for your opponents. It sort of depends on which tile you draw. But also, I actually just wanted to point out how the game would have been different. So first of all, Kirillov still could have separated the road and then just finished his side of the road a little bit later. And then with this tile, he would have gone over here. And then with this tile, he would have had somewhere to start a new city from. He would have gone over here. Then Bazilyuk city here would have been restricted. And Bazilyuk would not have finished this meeple. So yeah, like this opening stuff, the ripple effect of that are so huge. So even though Adrear's position is just fine, I mean, you can see he's only a little bit behind in overall points due to Yellow's monasteries, and there's enough variance in this position, like there are 2 empty city caps which can be picked out. There's, of course, the 7-point monastery spots to be taken with a road monastery, so a lot in this game depends on who's going to draw it, but Blue's position would have been better. Adrear now, with a place to start a new city somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where he's gonna do it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Maybe I would have preferred this a little bit. Bazilyuk with a fantastic tile, looking to finish his road and also put a lot of pressure on this guy. Adrear cannot really defend properly, but he can start a new city. Either here or here. It's a subtle decision as to which one is better. But this one on the left is better, and you know why. This is some advanced thinking. Those cities look identical, but if you go on the right, you allow your opponent to do something like this. And this would be playing against 2 squares at the same time. This would be harassing this city and attacking this hypothetical city. And this is why Blue chose the city on the left rather than on the right. And it might look a mistake because Bazilyuk was successfully using this Dorito tile to make it harder for Adrear to finish this city, but I still think it was best. Because first of all, there are plenty of tiles that go here to separate, and second, it is working, almost. So at least it is working in the sense that Yellow, who for some reason has become red. What is that? Okay, let's just try and play around with the plugin a little bit more. Nope. And instead he just uses this tile to connect the cities on the left. Not sure why he'd do that. Maybe there was a bit more flexibility here. And yeah, I think his main idea was actually to block the square permanently. And he would have done this with this Dorito tile if not for Bazilyuk's indirect defense. And now Bazilyuk can defend even further. He can actually go here. And he probably should, but he doesn't. Instead, he goes for a farm, which I think is also really strong. Really, really strong. This farmer is incredibly annoying. Adrear now does not seem to care about the farm. He invades the city on the left. Not the most potent city. He goes 4 points at the top. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Adrear immediately finishes the city on the right and drops a farmer to either equalize through a monastery tile or through back-to-back tiles like this. Several other moves have been played. Bazilyuk is still 2 points ahead but behind on meeples, but not for long, as he's building the monasteries on the left and trying to create a monastery spot. Still 2 regular monastery tiles available for him to complete the monastery here. Now Bazilyuk is going to build his city at the bottom, making these squares here somewhat vulnerable, but still a lot of stuff safely goes there. Adrear now has the triple city, and again, not an obvious place to use this. So this is a very dynamic position. We can see that Bazilyuk is now threatening a lot with these monasteries. There's a field fight going on the right, which sort of favors Adrear because eventually he'll connect over here, and Adrear also has the long-term meeple advantage. Adrear also has a city going over here on the left, where Bazilyuk will need to invest the meeple at some point, and that is why, in order to anticipate that, Kirillov is adding 2 points to the city, but most importantly, he's eliminating the connection platform. And even though the city is a bit unlikely to get completed, it is going to score a respectable number of points. Blue, still down 7 points overall in this position, 5 on the scoreboard, 7 if you add up incompleted features. And really, a lot of things are going to depend on who draws monasteries of which kind. So first of all, Bazilyuk has this incredibly lucrative setup, which he may or may not cash in soon. Then there's this guy who's having a monastery set up with the field invasion, and then there are also 2 spots over here for back-to-back road monasteries, perhaps. Kirillov, after scoring 3 points, drops a farmer trying to really utilize his meeple majority, and also something interesting happens. Now Bazilyuk is trying to break Blue's city. Let's try and figure out how effective this move is. So certainly it eliminates a large number of city caps that fit there, but there's still the right-hand dagger that fits there, and there's still the triple crossroads with a city, right? So a tile like this. So there's these 2. And there are also 3 guys like this, right? Yeah, I'm not sure how much I like this move, since there are still 3 tiles that connect there. Maybe Bazilyuk can block the square a little bit further. Maybe he just wanted to delay this, but at least it does seem to work in the short term. And look at how efficient Adrear is trying to be. With this curve, he could have gone over here, he could have connected to the field, but he figures that eventually he's going to draw one of the 5 tiles that fit into the square, so he didn't even bother. But one thing which Kirillov may have missed, with the curve, a really strong move was just going here, maybe? So me playing the 7-point road and still having plenty of chances to complete that road with either an 8-point monastery or back-to-back curves. Yeah, it seems maybe both players are choosing to not engage with this road pattern here on the left, even though it looks quite lucrative. And from Adrear's perspective, it would be nice to catch up on the scoreboard, but apparently the higher rated player is deciding that he needs his meeples for field fights, perhaps, and it's sort of justified, as there's a field over here on the right. With a straight line, he's going to get 9 points, but for now, he's just building up the city on the left, and it made me think of something. That city on the left is actually live. Of course, originally, it was not intended to be complete, but it could. Adrear is blocking Bazilyuk's monastery, at least making it much harder for Bazilyuk to complete. Straight line for Bazilyuk and a 9-point farmer, a curve for Adrear. He would have finished his road. He would have finished his road. He would have so finished his road, but he didn't. Anyway, so what else is important? Oh yeah, look at this. So Bazilyuk is now trying to block or at least further restrict adrear city. And what I expect from Kirilo here that he's just going to do something like this. Not allow him to easily go here. Curvy curve for adrear. Again, not an obvious place to use it. He could still just connect to the field, that's also fine. Looking for the road monastery, but really, whilst there are still several types of tiles that fit there, actually I'm not looking forward to restricting this square. Maybe dropping a farmer here is not that bad. On the other hand, I do want to keep my meeples for scoring a little bit. Yeah, probably what he's going to do is going over here. He's just deciding about the orientation, and in that particular instance, I think that doing this is a little bit better. Kirilo really thought about this one for a long time. He chose to connect to the field straight away. And he's gonna... A couple of moves have been played. Bazilyuk, for some reason, whenever I refresh the page, his meeple color turns to red. We're gonna fix that real soon. There we go. Yeah, and adrear now attacks the field on the right, successfully connect, so still having the majority on all of the farms that he needs. Oh, and look at this. Actually, one thing that was working very well for adrear is that he got both of the field monasteries and he managed to successfully block this square. So Bazilyuk will not be cashing on this setup ever. And so these both guys are trapped. And also this farmer kind of precariously placed. I mean, in theory, Bazilyuk could do... Oh, this is even better. Yep, that's very nice. He's trying to invade the main field either through here or even circumventing the secondary field and trying to invade from up top. Adrear still behind on the scoreboard though. Quadruple city tile is a strategic decision for him. He chooses to use it to obstruct some farming options on the right. This also means that he still wants to preserve a sort of kind of chance of completing the city on the left, because otherwise he would have just simply gone over here to score 2 points. Bazilyuk, in the meantime, restricts the chance for adrear to drop a farmer over here and keep overrunning this field. Adrear with a city tile. Very difficult tile to place. He could just go on the left and add himself 1 city point. Honestly, this could be the best move. I don't think that it is, but it could. I'm just trying to calculate something. Just give me a second. Okay, so here's what I'm trying to calculate. If you go here with a vanilla, then actually with a triple city tile and a city cap and another city, just discards the city cap because we know that this square is blocked. Oh, actually, I didn't zoom in. zoom out far enough. Now I zoomed out too far. Yeah, there we go. There were a couple of city caps at the bottom of the map. Adrear's catching up on the scoreboard. Only 8 points behind. Now a triple city tile for Bazilyuk that should put an end to any hopes of blue completing the city on the left, because it was in fact the last tile to fit into the square. So what are we having? Bazilyuk has a scoreboard lead and 2 monasteries. And Adrear has 2 city ruins, one big and one small. And of course, there's this evil hamster spot in the center. Will this game be decided by whoever draws the road monastery? It is quite possible. Bazilyuk is ahead overall. By 9 points, I think. And he's going to be up by 12 or something around that if he just takes 3 points over here. So this means that if Adrear takes this here monastery, he could still lose. So now we're going to ask ourselves why Bazilyuk doesn't instantly go over here. And I think the reason why he instantly is not going over here, he's trying to avoid giving back Adrear an opportunity to invade the field. How, you may ask? Well, you take a curve, drop a farmer here, take a dagger, and invade like that. All the way there. And that's why he chooses to take only 2 points there. This is very, very instructive. This could be incomprehensible to many players, but this is just to disallow the field attacking option. Adrear gets himself an extra point on the left. This was the sole purpose of this move. Bazilyuk should still be around 10 points ahead with a straight line. Still hoping to withstand the unfortunate event from his perspective, of course, of blue drawing a road monastery. Blue gets a city cap, but it's not really the city cap that he needs. He just can't do anything. And also, look at how smart this move was. So yellow restricted a scoring option for blue, so blue is not able to score this extra point for a city cap. So now, according to my calculations, there is a 16 or 1 in 6 chance percent for Kirilo to win this, and this is quite simple. If he gets the road monastery, and if he gets the one remaining barbed wire tile to complete his 6-point city plus a 4-point city on the left, then he's good to go. But I think that the road monastery in and of itself is not going to be enough unless Adrear finds a good way to use it. And I just don't see it, really. I was thinking that maybe he could use a road monastery not for scoring 9 points in the center, but for a quick invasion of the farm. But it just does not work. Well, Adrear gets himself a 50-50 chance. He's going to get himself the city setup. And he will win if he gets the road monastery. That's a lot of points being added to Blue's scoreboard right now. But Bazilyuk gets himself the road monastery. No 16%er is happening today. And Adrear has actually enough meeples to come back, but he has only one move, so he will not be able to use both of his meeples. He will be just taking 5 points for the city on the right. That is the highest scoring move that I can see. And losing this game. Bazilyuk is apologizing in the chat for something. I'm not sure for what exactly. Maybe for taking more than 1 second to take these 9 points. maybe for drawing the monastery in the first place. Maybe these are some inside conversations which we're not aware about. And Bazilyuk ends up prevailing in the first one with 4 points. So Maxim is 1 game away from clinching his Ukraine Carcassonne Online Championship 2025 title. Will Kirillov be able to stop him or at least delay him? We will find out over the course of the next 20 minutes or so. Game 2 of this best of 3 series has started. Kirillov has been knocked down from master status, at least temporarily, by losing 8 rating points, which really don't have any meaning other than psychological meaning. And Bazilyuk also gets to be the starting player here, playing the blue meeples, at least the way I view this, adrear with the yellow. And look at this move. Lovely, lovely opening find by Kirillov here, entering into a winning mini battle on 2 squares. This is huge. I don't think everybody appreciates how annoying it is to be the player with the blue meeples in this position, because first of all, already a losing mini battle. This here, Yellow City has 5 points, and Bazilyuk has 2. Second, that Yellow City is controlling Blue's road, so Yellow can make a lot of choices. He can just go here and build up his city even further without helping Blue's road, or he could even carefully build around this, and if he so chooses, creates a threat of completing that city. And there's really not a lot that Bazilyuk can do, so probably the best that he can do is just score elsewhere and accept the defeat in this mini battle, and he's trying to do exactly this. Adrear is currently ahead 4 points overall. Bazilyuk is trying to invade his lucrative city at the bottom, which already has 2 shields in it. Bazilyuk is now going for the good old Pindotron maneuver, taking 2 points, leaving an empty city cap, which will be taken away by Yellow. Of course, by doing so, Yellow decreases the quality of the square in his own city, but he cares about this stuff way, way less than he normally would, because this city is not likely to be completed in the first place. Bazilyuk finishes a shared city. Adrear with the first monastery of the game right in the heart of this position. Multiple good squares next to it, most notably a second monastery spot, maybe a road monastery spot or a straight line spot. Actually, yeah, from Adrear's perspective, it is imperative that we go here. Like, right now. We need to do that in order to prepare the better second monastery spot, because imagine if our next tile is the monastery, and we would not have gone here, then after we place a second monastery here, without this straight line, this monastery would have been super, super vulnerable, and I was convinced that Yellow's next tile would have been a monastery, but it isn't. So sometimes the tiles that you get on Board Game Arena are in fact truly random. Bazilyuk is now trying to block a monastery spot, and look how important it is, case in point. Adrear was basically ready to win the game on the spot. Like, this monastery here would have been a huge, huge advantage, but no monastery for you, or at least no lucrative monastery for you. With this curvy move, Maxim pushed Kirillov to the side, first of all giving him a 4-point spot instead of a 6-point spot, and second, making it actually much harder to complete this monastery in the first place. So let's say if Bazilyuk draws something like what Kirillov has in hand, he could go here with any city plus road tile and block this square permanently, but he does not get a city plus road tile, he gets a simple curve which could go here. That's so smart. He's trying to indirectly continue his road through Adrear's city, which I'm pretty sure Adrear is not going to allow. Instead, he uses this tile to save his monastery, and he might even want to meeple this road upon the completion of this monastery. Even though this road is unlikely to be completed, it looks like a worthy investment of a meeple for at least 7 points, maybe even more if these two roads are united. Bazilyuk with a double city tile, and really an interesting strategic choice. Like, how are you going to shape the board? He simply goes for a city, which makes a lot of sense, but adrear is now going to snap these 6 points. Still was a completely viable option. It was amongst the moves that I was going to list. Bazilyuk continues building. Adrear is going to not get a meeple back, but go for aggressive scoring. I'm not sure how much I like this in this particular position, but I am generally a fan of this sort of aggressive scoring, just trying to take advantage of every single city piece that is there on the board, and Kirillov figures out that he has enough meeples to try shenanigans like this. Bazilyuk goes for a second farmer, which could be a bit problematic for him because these farms are kind of small, and with just one move, with just a straight line over here, yellow could really limit the potential of blue's farmer. Instead, yellow chooses to make a simple equity move, trying to improve the quality of his monastery. Perhaps getting one more monastery over here and looking to complete the stacking. Adrear finishes his other monastery and, most importantly, meeples this ginormous long road. And regardless of whether this road connects to blue or does not connect to blue, it will be a good investment of a meeple. Bazilyuk with the first monastery of his own there, also developing the second field a little bit. Adrear with the last road Dorito, probably looking to start saving his cities on the left, which are being attacked by Maxim's Dorito. There are only 3 Doritos in the deck remaining, all identical. These are field Doritos, no more road Doritos available. And also, we're really running short on city plus road tiles in many of the games today. This was also the case in the Major League finale that we witnessed an hour earlier. Just so many of these road Doritos have gone out, and both players need to adjust their strategy to it, because it is much, much easier to block them. Kirillov. Not using his Dorito yet. So I wonder actually if he's thinking of something like going here and starting a third city. I hope not. That will be, I think, way too much. So the dilemma is this. If you don't do nothing, our opponent is going to start, maybe like put a triple city tile here or something, or some sort of other harassment, and maybe trap our both meeples. But if we do something like this and unify our 2 cities, then our opponent with a couple of roads can trap 2 of our meeples. So the question that we have to ask ourselves and answer either intuitively or from experience or with some insanely precise mathematical calculation. So if we go here, what are the odds of yellow drawing a field Dorito tile to finish these 2 cities before Bazilyuk gets a back-to-back road plus road sequence to block these guys? And I'm not sure how I would even go about this. I would probably just have a look at the total number of road tiles. I would also look at the straight line plus curve relationships, and wow, adrear is going for this. So he is making it quite easy to get blocked, but with a very particular tile. And what Kirillov's counting on is that he's going to be able to get a bunch of city caps before adrear is going to pick up a triple city and break everything. And I think he's correct, because there's still so many more city caps than triple cities. But if you look at the effect of this, if Bazilyuk gets the triple city, and kills off 3 meeples of yellow, then suddenly I probably prefer this position for blue than for yellow. Oh, what a fantastic tile for Adrear, getting the last remaining butterfly tile, and it does so much. It gives him a meeple back. It does not allow bazilyuk to connect his trapped 2-point road to Kirillow's healthy 9-point road. And after all this, yellow is still ahead in that mini battle of his early city against the road. I was mentioning the potential of yellow being blocked, but it is in fact blue who's getting blocked after completing an 8-pointer, a triple city for Adrear, shuts the monastery hope for blue, but blue still can use a monastery spot over here, just for fewer points, and blue can still get something like a cow tile and go over here and block 3 meeples of yellow. So how about we start with something like this? Is that crazy to do this? I think it's not that crazy. Or maybe something like this. This is also not crazy. Because the idea that I'm seeing is that this square is blocked, and I'm looking to kind of sacrifice a couple of points to make sure that all these 3 yellow meeples are tied to that blocked square, and bazilyuk is starting to work towards that. Now, Kirillow is only 3 points ahead overall, but he now is making a very strong setup. Yeah, this is also what players are doing a lot at this level. Rather than just scoring a couple of points, they are creating themselves setup, and these setups could maybe allow for just 2 or 3 tiles, but the impact of these setups is so high that the expected value from those setups is just through the roofs. And you saw, case in point, how Kirillow built around his monastery very, very carefully. I mean, it's so lovely. So first of all, the way this straight line and the way this road curved around this monastery was not only to add points, but also to limit the potential of this farmer. This is what I say when I mean that if you have a monastery in your opponent's field, you're controlling your opponent's field squares because you get to do stuff like this. And to top it off with another 8-pointer, that's an excellent sequence here for Adrear, who's looking to come back in the series. Now 10 points ahead overall. He manages to free up one of his meeples, although he's probably not going to manage to free up his meeples on the right. That said, aren't there like till 2 daggers available here? So it will be quite difficult for Maxim to still take care of these cities, even though he has done an excellent job at least partially breaking it. But surprisingly, there's still 2 tiles that fit into that square. Well, at least Maxim draws one of them. So maybe now he can just hope to draw the other. Still 1 more tile that fits into the square. Maxim only 3 points behind. And if he can only just get back a meeple, then he will be ahead overall in this position. But Adrear now with a scoring tile looking to go over here. 2 points for the city, 2 points for a road. I doubt that there's anything better unless there maybe could be a blocking move over here, or some sort of other move which improves the quality of this position. I doubt that there's anything better than simply scoring. Yellow gets himself the 4 points, 2 for the city, 2 for the monastery, 2 for the road rather. Bazilyuk with a starting tile. He has a very strong move available to him, but it's... Actually, that's possible. Yeah, he can do this. I preferred a different one, but it has the same idea. So he's now hoping to draw the tile that Adrear needs here. So Maxim figured out that there's just not enough time to try and block this square. And what he's trying to do, after he draws this tile, he's trying to set up... Yes, he's trying to set up that tile on his board elsewhere. And look at this lovely sequence. But I would have preferred something slightly different. I would have preferred the same idea, but over here, so that Bazilyuk gets to continue his field in a safer fashion, and that he also gets himself an extra road point, right? But it seems that Maxim has taken care of things. It wasn't an unfortunate draw for Kirillov that he was not able to use this tile to score the 6-point farm, and now Maxim got on the 6-point farm. Kirillov still ahead for some reason. And then he's trying to do what any reasonable player would do, score 3 points for road and unify the two farmers of Bazilyuk. Look how bad it hurts. Bazilyuk will now be losing these 6 points. And with that, he will be losing the second game, which means that we are headed for a decider unless Maxim comes with something truly miraculous. Look at this. This move actually paid off for Kirillov pretty nicely, because Blue now cannot go over here. He cannot finish this road. He cannot expand his field, although he does expand his other field. That's a very nice find, which is in fact a 3-point move, because he makes sure that these two farmers are scoring for this here city cap. Adrear gets 4 points for the city, still has 2 meeples to use. Bazilyuk is probably looking to farm something. Ideally, he wants to get something like back-to-back curves so that he can meeple this here 9-point field, but it's quite difficult to make this a 9-point field. In all likelihood, it is going to be simply a combination of disconnected 6-point fields. And because Kirillov still has 2 meeples, he will be able to take advantage of at least one of those fields. Also, another thing that's worthy of mention is that this square is fully blocked. There are no daggers of any kind, neither right-handed nor left-handed, so the idea of expanding Blue's farms through all the squares doesn't work. Well, first of all, there are not enough moves. Second, this square is blocked. So what does Bazilyuk do here? Probably just lose. Like, you go here for 6 points. Yeah, that's about the best that you can do. Ooh! I guess he's going for this sort of idea. He's going for... Maybe there was a sequence of tiles which could give him 9 points, although not really. Adrear is asking, what was that? Signaling that Bazilyuk might have made a miscalculation, but it doesn't really matter. Whether you lose by 3 points, by 4 points, by 10 points, by 50 points, it is all the same. Adrear with his highest scoring outplay of a 3-point farmer coupled with a 2-point city. Hopelessness. Wait. Biznadze. Actually, I'm not sure what that word means. It's either ignorance or hopelessness. It has to be one of the two. Maybe somebody can help me out. So, Adrear is hanging in there. He still has not lost this, and Maxim still has not secured his championship win. Let's see what the score difference is. Well, actually, we know what the score difference is. It's right there. The plugin shows this for us. Also, do let me know in the chat like, how much do you like this new plugin that customizes colors and shows you more points. And I really want as much feedback as possible because it's something that I literally just discovered yesterday. Adrear is back in his master status, crossing the 700 threshold again. looking forward to starting the decider, and no break whatsoever. We're diving in straight to game 3. Adrear with the starting player advantage and the blue meeples right now. He will be scoring 4 points, leaving another city cap up for grabs. Will Maxime be able to take advantage of that city cap? And yes, he will, equalizing the scoreboard, but leaving another city cap for Kirilo, who will not be taking advantage of that city cap, but just scoring 2 points for Road. And bazilyuk gets in the lead with the scoreboard with 4 points, but Adrear's Road is looking pretty good, and Adrear's also have the first shot at the farm, so a 4... He's thinking about this. The move is not obvious. I think this move is just the best. Continuing the road directly and dropping a farmer. There was also another option of continuing the road indirectly and dropping a farmer. bazilyuk immediately tries to connect to the field, but I'm not sure how much I like this, really. Actually, I'm going to tell you more. I just don't. Precisely because this tile adds to Adrear's road. Like, if you're going to attack the field, then at least go here. Don't help your opponent's road building. But Maxime is feeling cooperative. And that's something that he appreciates. bazilyuk with a city cap and looking to start a very, very dynamic open position. Like, building a city in the shared field is absolutely a stylistic statement. It's not just for the sake of building a city, it's for the sake of drawing a city cap, going over here, dropping a farmer, winning the field outright, saying, your strategy is bad, you're spending too many meeples on road, I'm going to have a 30-point farmer whilst you're going to struggle over here. I win, I am the champion of the 2025 Super League. And Adrear is saying, not so fast, I'm just going to draw the first monastery, and if you so choose, you can take the field, but I'm just going to outscore you. Or I'm going to out-farm you, which is also pretty interesting. So he now goes for the same idea, kind of not allowing bazilyuk to drop an easy farmer, but oh, this could go so bad for Adrear. So bazilyuk, of course, is going to take the points over here, and this square is going to be very, very restricted, right? There's going to be only one road monastery that fits here. Yeah? A farmer, is it really worth it to drop a farmer there? Maybe. I really don't like losing 4 points when my opponent is ahead on the scoreboard. But apparently Maxime decides that the urgency, that the positioning of the farm is important enough for him to do this. And you know what? It seems to me that bazilyuk is basically going to be betting his entire game on the road monastery tile. And this is really not such a bad idea. If anything, it is a lovely idea. Let me explain you what Maxime's plan is, who, by the way, is behind, but not for long. So he gets a curve, not a crossroads, but a curve. He's going to put it over here. He's going to give an extra point to blue, but then he's going to tie all the fates of these 3 blue meeples towards this one square. With these 2 farmers, he's going to invade here and have the majority on the 15-point field, and blue is going to have 4 blocked meeples. Well, with a 50-50 chance, but in all likelihood, even if blue gets the monastery, it's going to take him a long time to draw, and half of the time he doesn't get the road monastery at all. In that case, bazilyuk can do stuff like this and even take a stronger stronghold on the field. And even if the square gets filled, Maxime's control of the field really just will not be questioned for the entirety of the game. So Adrear's only chance is to try and score a lot with an imbalance. And even though he's ahead now, because of the long-term meeple majority, You'll probably going to need this monastery tile at some point. However, Kirillo's doing pretty well for himself, completing this lovely tile with a lovely city with 3 shielded tiles. Bazilyuk, of course, getting with an 8-pointer to stay alive in this. Now has a secondary 9-point field as well. Well, Adrear is playing with fire. What was that move? I'm not sure if that was necessary. Maybe that wasn't bad. Because we only know that this move didn't work because Bazilyuk managed to take 8 quick points. But just because the move doesn't work does not mean that it was bad. It did seem to me, though, a little bit too desperate at this stage of the game. Now that Bazilyuk has caught up on the scoreboard a little bit, these 8 points could really, really matter a lot. So, Bazilyuk successfully connects all the farmers. To rub it in, he gets himself this extra city on the field and a ginormous number of green squares. Yeah, tricky position for adrear. I'm not even sure what his strategy should be. So one strategy is just wait for the road monastery tile. Hope to get your 11-pointer over here. That would be 9 points for this monastery, 1 point for the other one, 1 point for the road, and 3 meeples back. And then after that, we can try and maybe prevail somehow with an imbalance. But the thing is, because of these 8 points, Bazilyuk is just a bit too far ahead on the scoreboard for comfort. So it is possible that Adrear's winning plan will have to include both drawing the road monastery and then fighting for the field from a position of a disadvantage. This looks exceptionally difficult for Bazilyuk. And the more I look at this position, the more this move and the 4-point sacrifice starts making more and more sense. Maxim building a city on the right. Kirillo is trying to not score, but simply protect this here square next to his monastery. And it works, because had he not done this, had he gotten greedy, he would have taken these 4 points, but Bazilyuk would have gotten over here and blocked his meeple. And Kirillo realizes that the meeple count is important for his winning chances. Bazilyuk now gets a ridiculous sequence, getting the last dagger tile, and Adrear immediately is gonna comment in the chat saying, "What was that? What are these cheats?" But these weren't cheats. It looks like it is incredibly lucky, although it kind of is. But this was actually very smart from Maxim, because he realized that there were many city plus road tiles, such as this one, which he hasn't had now, such as this one, which his opponent drew. This one, of course, just was the best one because it gave him his extra points. But still, there was a lovely find, and it's a counterintuitive move to be facing your city. And he tries to attack the field, which actually makes some sense. And look at Bazilyuk. Bazilyuk is trying to delay Adrear's chances at completing the city. This is very interesting. And Bazilyuk is sacrificing a lot of points just to make sure that Adrear does not have too many meeples. Bazilyuk gets another farmer. Adrear finishes a city on the right. In due course, no, he does not. He goes even more aggressive. He finishes a 4-point city, looking to finish his other city later. I'm not sure if this greed is even necessary. Bazilyuk successfully reclaims the field on the right. Adrear with the monastery. Is he going to go for 7 points in the center, or will he do something else? No, he does not. He chooses to try and block Bazilyuk's city. Kirillo really desperate here. And actually, I think Kirillo has a real chance to win without the field. After this move especially, he can do this. Wow, this is so nice. But it, the road monastery has been drawn by Bazilyuk. And he gets himself a 5-point road and also expands the field, bringing 2 more cities in. Of course, the last starting tile also belongs to Bazilyuk, who just in case drops another insurance farmer. And difficult life. I mean, Kirillov's still fighting, and the idea of this move, of course, is to have the extender tile that still fits here. There isn't a divider in particular, but still was a theoretical possibility. Bazilyuk, just in case, takes a stronghold on all farms. The secondary farm with 8 completed cities, and the primary farm with 6 completed cities. Adrear also loses a meeple. And with that, it looks like we're going to have a score which is not safe for work. 50 points at least is going to be Bazilyuk's win. The yellow meeples are just biting into the flesh of the blues like a tiger would bite into a piece of halloumi. Kirillov finally got a meeple back. Yay, he finished the city, and he's now less than 50 points behind. Bazilyuk got himself a 4-point ruin. Adrear finally got himself a tile to fit here to finish his largest construction project of the game, but unsuccessful due to this block earlier. Of course, Bazilyuk here with the trash talk before the game is even closer to remove all questions who's the champion. By the way, also, Adrear is playing super precise until the very end. This invasion had a 100% chance because both of the remaining tiles were shieldless cow tiles. So, very nice touch, trying to be precise towards the game. Adrear is gracefully congratulating his opponents. Bazilyuk is saying, I was so lucky. Well, yeah, but I have to say Maxime played this very, very well strategically. So there were so many things about this. Just getting this farming configuration, just finding this idea of tying 3 of his opponents to 1 square. And of course he got the road monastery as well, just making it completely impossible for Kirillov to come back. But the point here with this sort of configuration is that most of the time when Kirillov draws the road monastery and manages to free up his 3 meeples, still Maxime would be in a very good position because of his early stronghold on this field. So temporary meeple advantages, they also mean a lot of things. It's just in this case temporary turned into permanent. So congratulations to our undisputed champion of the Ukraine Carcassonne Online Championships 2025. The top tier division, the Carcassonne Super League. Maxim Bazilyuk has the title. We have one more match though. And this one was won allegedly by Pavel Breen, or is it still going on? I think it might be still going on. I still want to check. So Oh, look at this. So Pavel Breen just started playing against Lawyer. Yes, I mean, we might as well watch the match for... So now it doesn't matter because Pavel, if he wins the second game, which is possible, it looks pretty close, he's down on the scoreboard, but there's a lot of yellow stuff on the board, and yellow means Pavel. So if he does win this one, then he will be also on 9 victories in 11 matches, same as Bazilyuk. But Pavel's tiebreaker will be a tad worse. And it looks like this is happening because, well, Pavel gets a city cap. And the city cap can be used to complete a lovely city here. Is this his highest scoring move? I would guess it's his highest scoring move. Instead, he completes a different city, which is interesting. It may have been his highest scoring move, actually, because this city was in his field, whereas the other field was in his opponent's field. Pavel Breen saying that he got the tile a little bit too late. So apparently he has calculated that yellow has lost this game. Apparently the same situation with the meeple advantage, as Lawyer was able to take the stronghold on the field in the center with these guys over here. Yeah, the score difference actually is looking quite significant. I'm a bit surprised at 22 points. So we're going to have ourselves a decider, and this will decide whether, well, Pavel is going to score 9 or 8 victories. Pavel is still going to stay in the second place in his championship, but for Lawyer, it will matter whether he gets the third place in the championship. So Tanya Yu, the current player who is in the third place, will certainly be looking to root against him. Pavel was asking for 2 minutes. Let me see if I have room on the scoreboard. I kind of don't. Well, okay, let's maybe just all congratulate Random again from the Major League. And let's add this. Lawyer 0, no, Lawyer 1. Pavlo Bren 1. Both players almost identically rated at the moment, with their peak somewhere in the mid-700s. And Pavel, playing with the blue meeples here, will be getting the starting player advantage and the early 4 points. Lawyer, with the best tile to get back, an early monastery for 3 points to control some space and catch up on the scoring. Pavlo with a 2-point road, which is being controlled by the monastery, but Lawyer with the new city tile will be forced to add 1 road point to blue, simply because there's only 1 place on the board to put this. This is something that I try to capitalize on a lot in my openings as well, and I know that also Adrear has studied this sort of stuff a lot, how to maximize the chance of your opponent being forced to add points to you in the opening. Because when there are only 3 or 4 or 5 tiles on the board, these opportunities where your opponent can be forced to not even continue, but sometimes to even complete your feature, are actually surprisingly frequent. Yaroslav is starting a city like this. Pavlo now looking to continue his road and start a new city. That's his highest scoring move. And look at this, another forced move. So Lawyer is adding yet another point to Pavlo because he has no choice. And Lawyer is also saying that is why one has to take the road at the start of the game. Pavel is asking, well, but who wouldn't take it? Well, Pavel is asking this because he's a relatively newer player. Now, of course, he's very, very strong, but he really only, I think, started playing this game online 2 years ago, and Pavel may not know that just like 3 years ago, there was a whole cohort of reasonably rated experts who would actually not meeple an early road. And it has been decisively shown that placing a meeple on your first move, and even your first several moves, is the optimal strategy for a Carcassonne opening. Well, that's why Pavlo also corrected himself in the chat, saying who from Masters would not have taken this road. Hi, Maxime. Congratulations for winning this. Saying, I want to say thank you to my mom, my father, my sister, daughter, and girlfriend for their support. Well, it's very nice of them. And Pavel's not happy about this. Oh, look at this, look at this. So, Pavel saw that I'm one of the spectators, so he knew that I was streaming the other match. And then he inferred from this that the other match must have concluded. And then Lawyer sadly spoiled it to him that Max won. So this will make Pavel sad because he knows that he now can no longer win the championship. But hopefully he still tries his best to deny Yaroslav the third place. Actually, an equal position, a very interesting one. So both early farmers on different sides of the board. I definitely prefer blue here, especially after he gets some extra on the scoreboard, improves the quality of his monastery, has an open road, is now really pressuring this city, but Lawyer thankfully will defend, and maybe even, not the worst idea to drop a farmer here, actually. Do it! Yeah, there we go. I love this sort of stuff. So if he does not get any of the 3 daggers, he's probably going to lose the game. But against a player of this level, really having a smallish, like 1 in 8 losing chance is not such a bad idea. So if we're banking on getting this tile, why not just maximize the value of this tile by not only getting the city and the road, but also invading with a farmer? Lawyer now with a decision. So this tile, it's with a shield. It would work lovely over here, setting up another Dorito. But Pavlo here setting up a threat at the top. Because look at this. He continued his city and he allowed Pavlo to get away with the city here. And what happened as a result? Pavlo got his city but denied Lawyer his city. And this is not an accident. This is not just some stroke of luck. This is something that you expect to happen because in that position, like from Yellow's perspective, there were fewer tiles for Yellow to complete the city than the tiles for Blue to complete the city over here. Anyway, let me just refresh something with the colors. Yeah, there we go. Let's get back to Yellow and Blue. Pavlo getting himself yet another road. Getting himself a rather large advantage. Wait. Oh, that was very interesting, although I disagree with that quite profoundly. Lawyer, this tile over here, chose not to go to this place. He chose not to take 4 points for the road, not to take 6 points for the city, not to free up a meeple, not to complete a 6th connection, but instead He's trying to set up a larger city on the right, and his idea is that he wants to get a triple city tile and finish this city. But the problem is, well, what if he doesn't complete his setup? He kind of is hoping still to do this, but there's still a 75% chance, but I'm not sure. I think that was a bit too desperate. If I were Yaroslav, I probably would have gone over here. And then with this tile, I would have made this cover up. Yeah, because you know what? This square was actually not that dangerous. I know that yellow was worried about blue potentially invading over here, but from yellow's perspective, the only tile with which blue can invade is this here tile. So imagine if this tile is not here. And then the only tile that blue can place here to invade is that one. Right? And so he would go here and invade like this. But if this is what we're worrying about, then we're going to lose anyway, because this would mean our opponent drawing the tile that we need for this critical square. So a couple of other moves had been played. Pavel's completed yet another city on the right, making it even harder, yet not impossible for Lawyer to come back. Now, this monastery is a huge draw. Well, first of all, it would mean that Pavel gets 2 of his meeples trapped, because this monastery is not going to go over here. But Lawyer has only 1 meeple, so he can't really meeple the monastery on his own. Although he might just go here for 8 points, hoping to get some more. Or he might go here, actually. Huh. Just using this monastery as a protection tile. Actually, no, he doesn't need to do this. You know what's interesting about this here tile? Is that it makes impossible for Pavlo to block the city permanently, and this is because the 3 blocking tiles, namely the 3 right-handed daggers that would go over here and restrict the center square towards a quadruple city tile, they all have gone out. So actually this city is super likely to be completed. There's really not that much that Pavlo can do short of drawing pretty much all the tiles that fit into that square. Pavlo now gets himself a farmer, looking forward to getting a curve, going over here, invading the main field. Lawyer is trying to scrap by with any points he can. A curvy tile for Pavlo. Probably going to go over here, complete the invasion, or even better, limiting the number of tiles that fit here to just 1, actually. There were 2, but Pavlo drew 1. Still a cow tile. A horse now for Pavlo, looking to get 2 points. Yaroslav's 3rd place is slipping away, but he needs to get one of his crucial setups first. Pavlo, with a monastery, starting a new one. The Lawyer finally gets the curvy tile. So it ends up working out for him in the end, sort of, kind of. He has the majority in the field temporarily, as I was surprised that Pavlo did not invade the field. Oh yeah, no, I wasn't surprised, obviously, because he needed the curve for something else. But now maybe there is a chance, if Lawyer somehow draws all the 4 curves that fit into this square, he's still going to have the majority on the field. Lawyer also has the meeple majority, so I guess he'll be looking forward to dropping a farmer somewhere. The question is, do we do it right now, or do we do it a tad later? You know, I see a wonderful farming spot, but it's incredibly hard to spot. So I was thinking at first something here, but if we drop a farmer here, then it's blockable from this side. If we drop a farmer here, then it's blockable from that side. But I think that the best farming spot is actually a back-to-back invasion over here at the top, hoping for a sequence of back-to-back curves, which actually are super likely, First of all, we get the 4 points over here, and then we get another tile for invasion. So we see that Lawyer instead invades Pavel's farm at the bottom. And now after this, Pavel actually doesn't even have to go over here. He chooses to just continue his monastery. And it is possible that it will be enough for Pavel, but the triple city tile, it's all about the triple city tile. So Yaroslav has been struggling with a meeple minority for the most of the game. He sort of equalized as now Pavel deployed his meeple elsewhere. He has a stronghold on the field. He has 18 extra farm points due to the 6 completed cities in the north. He could get this even a little bit more if all the farms are unified eventually. He could even get a couple of more if he gets curves here to bring in this city, but it's really all going to be about that cow tile. Big city for yellow or no big city for yellow. I can't really see anything else making a difference in this game. Pavel with a straight line. The question is, does he have to attack the farm? Because from Pablo's perspective, I see that my scoreboard lead plus the monastery definitely... Ooh, that's interesting. This move is for me. For me! I'm so flattered. Yeah, and I was actually thinking that the idea of Pavel is that he can try and find a way to win this game even if Lawyer completes the city. Like, this is what he should be doing. And I think he's attempting to do exactly this. So he's dropping some sort of farmer for insurance, saying that maybe if Lawyer goes over here to finish that city, then Pavel will still have a chance to go over here. And look at this, Lawyer's dropping more farmers. Is that really the way to go? Well, it doesn't matter because Pavel just simply wants to score. Lawyer will connect to the field. Pavel gets a scoring tile. Yeah, actually also the thing with this farmer, even if it does not connect to the main field, it will score a little bit. It will be a bit of an insurance against this here city. And if he gets another curve, he actually gets to invade this field over here and score 6 points. And of course, very nice to have his meeple back and maybe get some 2 points extra for a road. Although it is not obvious. The really big question is, if Lawyer finishes his big city, can Pavel still win without the field? Well, we will find out soon enough as Lawyer finishes the big city. And Pavlo will get some sort of value from this move. I don't know what. What will Pavlo do here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1 curve remaining in the deck. And the game could come down to a curve. If Pavlo gets a curve, he can go here, get him extra field, or maybe go here, score long road, maybe go here, score another long road, maybe go here, get this field. Yeah, this game is really hard now for blue. Because he's only 2 points ahead on the scoreboard. He has a bit of extra on the board with this road here, so that's 5. A better monastery than his opponents, and a slight field for 3 points, but Lawyer has 21 point field for these farmers. So it seemed to me that maybe Pavlo needs to find some sort of way to squeeze in 2 farmers here. Can we do that? Well, there's only 1 curve. That is the problem. But you know what? There's a monastery. Let me think about this. So there's a regular monastery, right? Is there a straight line? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So he simply goes for a scoring idea. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I think if I didn't misevaluate this position, I think that Pavlo's chances were like 8% if he were to go for this move and a farmer like this. Then, if lawyer draws this tile, lawyer can't block. Then Pavlo gets the monastery, connects here, and then the straight line, if there's a straight line, to connect like this. Wait, did he actually get the tiles? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, yeah, there was no straight line. I knew there had to be something wrong with my plan. That's so sad. And there are no starting tile, no crossroads. Oh man, I mean, he's still trying to score all the best that he can. Lawyer gets the curve, which he will use to score more points. He scores 7 in one of his possible ways. He could also have scored 6 over here, or a little bit over here by expanding his farm. And Pavlo gets some extra monastery points, but according to my calculations, I don't think it should be enough. It was still, I think, a lovely idea to try and invade the farm, and lawyer saying, how did I get this game from the bottom? And I have to say with him, what a way to get 3rd place. Finishing a gigantic to get. Actually, no, there was 8%, not 4%. So, if Pavlo were to get either the Rodorito or the city cap instead of this here tile, so that's 2 out of 5, right? He could have gone over here, dropped to farmer. And then, all he had to do was, in any order, to draw the curve, so that's 1 out of 4, and the monastery, 1 out of 3. So 1 out of 24, 1 out of 48 chance, which makes it 2%. Still, 2% is something, but it's not a lot of percent. So this means that there are 46 parallel universes where lawyer is still 3rd place in this championship, and 1 parallel universe where Pavel denies Yaroslav his first place by going with a farmer over here and one with a curve over here, and then bringing in 2 farmers at once whilst also scoring for a big monastery. Yeah, I think some sort of a sequence of tiles that would bring in both farmers at once, that was probably his only chance. And I think this is something that Pavlo might have been eyeing when going over here. Also, credit to lawyer for finding this counter. I might have not found it and might have lost this. Yeah, really exciting open Ukrainian Carcassonne today. Sergey saying 3rd bronze medal for Yaroslav in UCOCs. Well, look at this, 3 third places. He should be especially happy with this one, as he said, rising from the bottom. So now it's just time to look at the final standings and discuss future plans. Sergey, if you're still in the chat, could you let us know when we are expected to start the next season of the Ukraine Carcassonne Online Championship, the Super League, their Major League, and also we know that the next year we're expected to grow. So in the Super League, they're going to be 16 players. In the Major League, they're going to be also 16 players. I'm not sure about the first league and the second. a new championship of the same nature starting in December. Anyway, so one championship is over, the next one's about to start. Some WTC IOC content related tomorrow, and also connected with Ukraine as well. Tomorrow, wait, is that tomorrow? I actually don't remember. We have to look. I should really remember when I stream. No, I think it's actually on the 6th. Yes, on the 6th. Ukraine is playing against a Lithuania in the, not to be confused with Lat. Just so you know, you should be expecting 1.5 hours of Carcassonne content in the next 2 days. I just want to double check the time before leaving y'all here. But whilst the page is loading, this is probably a good time to remind you all to meep with the like button and subscribe for more competitive Carcassonne content like this. Loading. Having a bit of a connection issue today. Okay, there we go. So, probably no stream tomorrow. But one on April 6th, 1300 UTC, Lithuania against Ukraine friendly match. Also one on Monday as well, where Ukraine is to play against Latvia. Not to be confused with Lithuania. That one I'm also streaming. So yeah, just make sure to make your weekend plans accordingly. Then that's gonna be it for today. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you soon.